Video script. Here's $10,000. Be my husband for a week, the lonely CEO said, but he made her believe in love again. Intro hook. Imagine being so successful that you have everything money can buy, yet feeling so alone that you'd pay a stranger $10,000 just to pretend to love you for 7 days. That's exactly where Victoria Chen found herself on a cold November evening, standing in a crowded coffee shop, about to make the most desperate offer of her life. She was a CEO worth millions, dressed in designer clothes, but inside she felt like the loneliest person in the world. What she didn't know was that the struggling art teacher she was about to approach would teach her the one thing her fortune could never buy, what it truly means to be loved. This is a story about how one act of unexpected kindness broke through walls of loneliness and transformed 2 lives forever. Stay with me, because what happens next will restore your faith in the power of human connection. Call to action. Before we dive into this beautiful journey, if you love stories that touch your heart and remind you of the goodness in people, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for heartfelt moments. Drop a comment below sharing a time when someone's kindness changed your day. Your stories inspire us to keep bringing you these moments that matter. Now, let's get back to Victoria and the week that changed everything. Main story. Victoria Chen had built her tech company from nothing. At 34, she'd been featured in Forbes, spoke at conferences around the world, and had more money than she could spend in a lifetime. But success had cost her everything else. Her days blurred together in an endless cycle of board meetings, investor calls, and lonely dinners in 5-star restaurants where she ate alone while scrolling through her phone. She'd sacrificed friendships, relationships, and somewhere along the way, she'd forgotten what it felt like to have someone genuinely care about her. The breaking point came at her own birthday party. She'd rented an entire rooftop venue, hired caterers, and invited 200 people. They came, they drank expensive champagne, they took selfies with her for their social media. But as Victoria stood there smiling for another photo, she realized something heartbreaking. Not one person there actually knew her. They knew her net worth, her achievements, her public image. But nobody knew that she cried herself to sleep most nights, or that she was terrified of ending up old and alone, or that she would trade everything she had for one genuine conversation. That's when she came up with her desperate plan. She'd hire someone to be her husband for a week. Not for anything inappropriate, just someone to have dinner with, talk to, make her feel less invisible. Someone who'd ask how her day was and actually listen to the answer. She knew it was crazy, but loneliness makes you do crazy things. She found Marcus Bennett by accident. He was sitting in a corner coffee shop, grading papers with a pen that kept running out of ink. His jacket was worn at the elbows, and he looked tired in a way that spoke of working 2 jobs and still barely making rent. Victoria watched him for 20 minutes before approaching, drawn by something genuine in his face, a kindness that seemed to radiate even in exhaustion. "This is going to sound insane," she said, sliding into the seat across from him, "but I need to make you an offer." Marcus looked up, confused. Victoria laid it out plainly, $10,000 for 7 days. Just pretend to be her husband at a few events, have meals with her, make her feel less alone. No strings attached. She'd even typed up a contract. Marcus stared at her for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised her. "I'll do it, but I don't want your money. I'll do it because nobody should feel that alone. I've been there." Victoria insisted on paying. It was the only way she knew how to interact with the world. But Marcus was firm. If she wanted someone genuine, she couldn't buy it. She could only receive it as a gift. The first day was awkward. They went to dinner, and Victoria kept trying to direct the conversation like a business meeting. But Marcus gently steered them toward real topics. He asked about her childhood, her dreams before the company, what made her laugh. Nobody had asked her these things in years. She found herself sharing stories she'd forgotten she had. About the little girl who used to build cities out of cardboard boxes, who dreamed of creating things that brought people together. By the 3rd day, something shifted. Marcus took her to volunteer at a community center where he taught free art classes to kids. Victoria showed up in her business suit, completely out of place. But a 7-year-old girl named Maya grabbed her hand and insisted she help paint a mural. For 3 hours, Victoria painted sunflowers and laughed at terrible jokes, and she felt something she hadn't felt in a decade, present in the moment, connected to people who had no idea who she was and didn't care about her bank account. Marcus showed her a different kind of wealth. He introduced her to his neighbors who looked out for each other, shared meals together, celebrated each other's small victories. He showed her that his elderly neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez never had to ask for help shoveling snow, people just showed up. That the single mom downstairs never worried about childcare because the community wrapped around her family like a safety net. "This is what I gave up," Victoria whispered one evening, watching Marcus's friends gather for a simple potluck dinner. "I was so focused on building an empire that I forgot to build a life." Marcus smiled gently. "It's not too late. Empires are impressive, but people are what matter. You haven't lost your capacity for connection, you just buried it under ambition. It's still there." On the 7th day, Victoria didn't want it to end. But she'd learned enough to know she couldn't hold on by force. At the coffee shop where they'd met, she thanked Marcus, not for pretending, but for seeing her. For reminding her that vulnerability isn't weakness and that opening your heart is the bravest thing you can do. Marcus smiled. "You know what? I think this week helped me too. I'd gotten so focused on surviving that I forgot what it's like to really see someone and help them find themselves again." Uplifting conclusion. Victoria didn't get a husband that week, she got something better. She got a mirror that showed her who she'd become and who she could still be. She started having real dinners with her employees, learning their stories. She began volunteering at Marcus's community center. She rebuilt friendships she'd neglected. And yes, she and Marcus stayed in each other's lives, because some connections are too genuine to let go. The lonely CEO learned that kindness isn't a transaction, it's a gift freely given. And sometimes the greatest act of kindness is seeing someone's pain and choosing to sit with them in it, asking nothing in return. Marcus taught her that love, in all its forms, can't be bought. It can only be built through presence, vulnerability, and the courage to let someone truly know you. So today, look around. Someone near you is lonely. Someone is succeeding on the outside while crumbling inside. Your kindness, your genuine attention, your willingness to see them, might be exactly what saves them. Be someone's Marcus. Be the person who reminds someone else that they matter, not for what they've achieved, but simply for who they are. That's the kind of wealth that actually fills the empty places in our hearts. That's the kind of richness that makes life worth living. Word count: 1,285 words.